Hey everyone, welcome to Talk of the Town. This is a podcast where we talk about all things media, creators, business, and more. My name is Tristin. I'm the host of the podcast. If this is your first time watching the podcast or listening to the podcast, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're returning from previous episodes of our audio form of the podcast, thank you so much for tuning in. This is the first official guest episode of Talk of the Town. It is a really awesome conversation I had with Michael from Pillar, which is a creator link in bio startup. We talk a lot about the entertainment industry, about the creator space, and as well a whole wide range of other things. So hopefully you do enjoy this episode. And with that being said, let's get to it. Today on the podcast, I got a really special guest for you, a good friend of mine, someone who I deeply respect in the creator space, has been really passionate towards building things for creators, is Michael from Pillar. Michael, introduce yourself.
Hey Tristin, thanks for having me. Michael Ivkov, I'm the co-founder of Pillar, and I'm really happy to be here with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for those that don't know what Pillar is, kind of give a little bit of a background to it.
Absolutely. Pillar is the all-in-one business studio for content creators, and creators like Tristin, all the way up to some of the largest YouTubers on the planet, Twitch streamers, pro athletes, TikTokers, use Pillar to build a beautiful link in bio website, to generate a media kit that's auto-updating and constantly fresh with data, and to meet and collaborate with brands as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of get into your beginning stages of your life. What led up to the point of you wanting to create Pillar? Were you always fascinated with the content space? And again, what led to wanting to create Pillar?
I love content, man, and I consider myself a type of content creator. I produce house music, electronic music. Occasionally I'll drop my mixes on SoundCloud. I love performing live and recording it as well. So I think one aspect of content I'm familiar with, of course I don't make video content, but I've always consumed it. My good family friend growing up is a YouTuber who focuses on cryptids and other sort of creatures in the wild, looking for Bigfoot, filming beautiful nature scenery with drones, and doing camping and all these other things. And so growing up was super interested in content, its production, and that's how I sort of got interested in the space to begin with. We then, my co-founder Faisal and I, when we were at Harvard, worked on a project called Athlane, which is V1 of Pillar. And there we were stationed at Reebok's headquarters in Boston. We built out a lot of software to help the Reebok team partner with content creators, discover them, work with them, sign them end to end. And that product became the Athlane terminal, which was a tool for content creators, specifically streamers, to discover brand deals and end-to-end work with brands. That product has since then become Pillar for Brands, which is our CRM that companies use to meet creators like yourself.
Yeah, and I originally found you guys when you guys were Athlane. It was purely by mistake. What happened is Awaken had just came out of working with Open Doors, and I was really into the name, image, and likeness space, and really like how brands were getting involved with creators and creating a different environment in that space. And then I saw what you guys were doing, the fact that Ninja was getting into investing with Athlane, and I was like, this seems like a really cool thing that isn't real. Like, not a lot of people are targeting in the creator space, because from the aspect of creator or streamer, we grind like our entire lives just to try to get a G Fuel sponsorship. And then you guys came out of the gate and were like, we're offering brand deals with some companies that you'd have to cut off an arm and a leg just to get a contact info for. So that was always something I really loved about you guys. Plus the fact of link in bio because a lot of people use Linktree and other services, and like Linktree was always very tacky. There was another service I used. I won't name drop them, and their only main selling point was like, oh, we have physical cards with a QR code on the back of them, and that was it. Uh, but so I guess like, what were some of the initial things that like you learned from creating Athlane and then also from Pillar?
I think on the product side, one of the biggest things I learned was when developing a tech product or any kind of product, including content and stuff that you produce with Awaken Militia, you know,
Yeah.
the biggest thing you can do and the hardest thing to learn, especially in the building process, is how to prioritize and how to prioritize tasks, objectives, features, whatever that might be in your industry, but how to prioritize things ruthlessly. I thought was the most important thing I've learned. You only have so much time in a day. Your team can only focus and hyper focus on specific things. We only have so much time in our lives, right?
Yeah.
And so prioritizing is the most important thing you can do. That's sort of the biggest thing I've learned how to do on the PM side.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who has ran a business myself, like I'm always kind of conflicted because, and I guess it's because I spread myself way too thin, and I think this is the first time I'm even acknowledging that. Like there's so many different things that I have my hands in, and even on the Awaken side of things, there's so many different ideas going on all at one time, to the point where like, it's crazy. I'm kind of like a one-man CEO. Now, obviously, I have other people working with me, but like a lot of the ideas, the vision, the implementation is all really done up in my head, for the most part. I guess when you guys transitioned to Pillar, which was definitely at a great time, you guys were growing, really getting a lot of attention and a lot of notoriety in the creator space. How was that scaling like? Was it definitely like challenging? Were you guys afraid of how things would be received, or what was the mindset like at that time?
So I personally worked with our design team on developing the brand, the Pillar brand, brand identity. Worked with my co-founder on the name, but I really took it upon myself to spend a lot of time working on the brand identity, the colors, the visuals, the feel of the of the company, of the product, from the outside in. So I'd say, given all the preparation and hard work, I wasn't too afraid. I thought that the name was better. I thought that the visual, the word mark was better. I thought the colors that went with it were better. And I thought most of all, it was a more universal brand. It appealed to people who might not necessarily be gaming streamers, might not necessarily be athletes, but could be, I don't know, in the TikTok space, in the cooking space, producing content, knowledge coaches, right? Pillar is a more universal brand. And what is a pillar? A pillar is a structural support in architecture. It's an object that can stand the test of time. It's something that serves to support the building that it's built into, it's integrated into. And similarly, our vision with Pillar is to support creators who are bold, who are ambitious, who want to be creating content for a very long time and want to sustain themselves. A lot of things in the creator economy are sizzle and no steak. A lot of things are here to be flashy and are ultimately not going to move the needle for most people in the long run. And I think the whole point of Pillar is that we care about supporting our creators, and our platform really prioritizes that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like interesting, seeing all the changes, because obviously, again, like I was someone who used Athlane, and then seeing the Pillar rebrand and what you guys have done since then has been really nothing short than tremendous and spectacular. Because again, like what you guys are doing is so ambitious and so it's been like a long time needed in the creator and even the gaming space, more nichely. just because like it's something that added a little bit of flavor and changed I think the way that a lot of people really looked at how to represent a brand, and especially as well the way that you guys recently added media kits. Like, talk a little bit about like what was the mindset going into that, and like how how has that been received so far?
So the media kit's always been something that we've paid attention to. It's been more of an internal product back in the Athlane days, and we decided to surface it as a public-facing, powerful tool for content creators. The media kit bridges the gap between the link in bio tool and the brand deals tool. Think about it as sort of the intermediary tool necessary for a content creator to run her own business. So she might collect inbound, she might centralize content, delight fans on the link in bio, integrate the media kit into that, and that's a tool for her to actually close brand deals, to give them the rich data they need to work with her, right? What's been really fun about the media kit has been working on the back end with our tech lead, Jessica, who just did a remarkable job building it. Just the way the data refreshes, the way that it's reliable, the way our pipelines are built are first in class in the industry. And I think the selling point of the media kit is that, again, Pillar is a structural core part of your business and content creator. You need something that's not going to break. You need something that can stand the test of time, that's reliable. So, yeah, get a media kit if you don't have one.
Yeah, I mean, like, I obviously, before you guys were around, I did try media kits, and I didn't really like it. I felt it to be kind of just tacky in several different ways. I know some people do like it, and there's other alternatives out there. But Pillars, and I'm biased. I've been using Pillar for nearly almost 2 years at this point. I truly was mesmerized by the media kit when you showed me before it got like revealed to everybody, which is one of the things that I also really like about you guys compared to like other companies in the space is you'll actually reach out to people through email or text message and be like, hey, we're launching this new feature, we'd love to get into a call, get your thoughts and see how things are working. And even when there's issues or things that could be improved, you guys are always communicative and trying to solve those things, which is something I really appreciate a lot, from a creator standpoint, because it means like, hey, this company actually cares, they're listening to us, they want to make sure that creators have a say and also that it's helping benefit them, which is really awesome. So I know recently you guys just held like an amazing creator summit, which was a lot different from the virtual one that you guys held last year. Talk about how that experience was. I mean, I know it was kind of out of the blue for a lot of people, but how was that experience of actually having like a physical summit and creators are meeting each other, combining, and really like having a unique space?
It was phenomenal. Thank you for asking. It was really, really great. Met some really cool people in the industry, connected a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think what was most fascinating about it was watching the interplay between your content creators, your managers, your agents, your brands, your sort of tech companies. We had Substack there, we had Hulu there, and just watching that space unfold. The whole vision of it was what happens when we put all of these different people in one space, a space admittedly floating on the water. It was on a boat in Marina del Rey in Los Angeles. What happens, and I thought the final product of it was magical. It was a lot of jamming, it was a lot of creativity in one room, and most of all, there was a lot of meaningful connection, meaningful human connection that we all missed at some degree during COVID. And the digital Zoom environment, the gather environment we were using for our last one was great. It was fun, but there's something different about having someone right in front of you, talking to them, music playing, good music playing, really just fun and different environment, beautiful environment with beautiful people in it. I thought it was a great time.
Yeah, plus when you have these like smaller spaces compared to like a VidCon or TwitchCon or things of that nature, I feel also like you get a little bit more value and like a deeper experience. Because like especially at TwitchCon, and I'll be going to my first TwitchCon here in a couple months. The thing I've always heard from everybody is like you kind of like know who you want to meet, and then you are kind of like, okay, these are the people that I'd like to meet, and I hope I run into them. And then it's like after that, it's like, well, I met this person. It's cool. I have this photo. I have this like autograph, but like not like you don't get to really remember like a lot about that experience. So like these creator forums and summits that you guys have been putting together are great. I hope I get invited to the next physical one. I was literally sitting on Instagram one night and saw it, and I was just like, man, I wish I would have been able to do that. Uh, but but yeah, just putting it out there as a little bit of a shameless plug, I guess. Now, like I mentioned before we started the podcast, I always like to turn the tables around, let you become the host, and bring in your own questions, topics, or things, and I'll gladly turn the microphone over to you.
Thank you, Tristin. Would love to, would love to take the reins here for a second. You walk me through the origin story of Awaken, what that was like.
So the origin was definitely a very interesting time in my life because I was just 12 years old. I was 12 or 13 at the time. I was 13 at the time. I was 12 when I started making videos, and so it'd been a year of like creating my own content, very low budget content because I didn't even have a capture card when I first started making videos. So, but literally, I was sitting in a class one day with a friend of mine, and I was just jotting down random ideas of like what Call of Duty teams were at the time and how they had a competitive, a sniping, a content, an editing team, and just envisioning like what that could become. And I, for years before that, had been a big fan of optic gaming and what Hex and Nadeshot and all those people built back in early 2010 and so forth. And so that's what I kind of modeled it a little bit after. And that was really the inspiration, was to kind of build a place where everyone felt like they could be connected with each other, and also at the same time it kind of and it was definitely a pun intended at the time, was to awaken a new generation of content and eventually competitive, and see where that went, not knowing where we would be 10 years from now. And so next year will be 10 years as an organization, which has definitely been crazy. But yeah, if you had asked 13-year-old me, do you expect to be here 9-10 years later as an owner and creator, I probably would slap him in the face and call him crazy. But yeah, great question.
Absolutely. What motivates you to create?
That's a good question. For me, it depends what I'm into at any given time. Obviously gaming content is my go-to avenue. Then I really love seeing people in vlogs, and I live in a state, Nebraska, where not much happens, but there's always something that's fun. And so and also the fact that I moved to Nebraska after like 7 years of living on the East Coast, and a wild childhood journey even before that. So I literally had 4 years to make all new friends, and eventually that was 2014 when I moved here. 2016 is when I started making vlogs, because that was the sort of lifestyle vlog craze on YouTube at the time. And then recently, I started making more business, sit-down, topic-related videos, because I really love watching Gary Vee and also there's a couple of other creators like Graham Stephan, who I've kind of taken different pieces of style and format from and found ways that I can mix with my own. And then podcasts. I've been doing podcasts for a very long time, and so it really depends on like what I'm into at that time. But what motivates me is really just seeing how creative I can get with that, and also the experience of like, hey, I'm filming this concert. Hey, I'm filming this vlog. Hey, I'm doing this podcast. It's something that just keeps me like on my toes at all times and trying to help me learn a little bit more.
That's great, Tristin. I love your point on that. Looking back on the last 5 years of your work, what's the highlight?
That's a tough question because there's been so many highlights of like going to my first gaming event, and meeting people, and being able to go to concerts and music festivals and work music festivals even at that, and all the opportunities I've been given. I'd say the highlight has really been I would say the highlight for me was definitely reaching 5 years in the well, I'll give you three, which are all equally just as important to me. The first was reaching 5 years as a creator, because I'm someone who did start content to try to be famous or try to make money, and I really developed more, I regained more of that mindset that I originally had with wanting to create content for the love of it, not just because I eventually hoped I'd get 100,000 or 1,000,000 subscribers. The second thing for me was seeing the growth of my esports team, because like a lot of people have to realize, for many years it was really myself running the show until mid 2017, when I finally started getting staff and things of that nature. So like seeing how things had went for 4 or 5 years, up to that point, and then lastly, I'd say my my first esports event that I went to, which was Call of Duty Anaheim 2017, because I met like a ton of amazing people. I got to make friends with a lot of people who are still in the community today on the semi-pro scene. I met Nadeshot for the first time. I got him to sign my shoes I was wearing at the time, that I had Air Jordans I was wearing. And there's a pretty famous like photo I have of where he's actually posing with me next to the shoes. I met Hex for the first time, which was a really awesome thing, and that was the first time I ever went to a gaming event. I tried for many years before that, but that was the first time. So those are the three like highlights of the last like 5 years for me. What was seeing all that come together.
Awesome. When was the last time you changed your mind about something important?
That happens a lot. It doesn't happen as much as it used to, because I'm more like kind of grounded, and I've learned to have a really unique like mindset and process of things. The last time I really changed my mind about something was really actually deciding whether or not to take streaming seriously. Because I'm someone who for many years just solely made content. I had made a Twitch back in 2016, but then the Twitch hacks happened at that time, and it wasn't until 2019 that I made a new Twitch, and then did very sporadic streaming at best. And then it was really 2021 where I started getting into streaming, became a Twitch affiliate, and now like have started revamping my entire setup, built like the Funko wall behind me, new equipment, new lighting, like everything in between. I think other than that, the biggest time where I always change my mind is every year when I'm looking at the goals I want to achieve for Awaken and for myself. Because the industry always changes, and so that means I've always got to be on my toes and think, what's next? Like, what are other teams probably thinking of doing at this moment that I have no clue of, and how do I beat them at their own game? So that's those are the few moments where I've had to change my mind about things.
That's awesome. Thank you for that, man. That's all I had.
Yeah. So, in terms of things, with the creator economy, where do you see the creator economy going in the next year, 3 years, and even 5 years? I know that's kind of crazy because not even us creators know, but like I feel like you might have a good sense from talking to people and seeing the growth of TikTok and the rise that's created for like a lot of people with opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, let me just look into my crystal ball for a second here.
Growing up, I had one of those magic 8 balls, and I don't know where it went.
Yeah. I think that the creator economy, speaking really broadly, is in a moment of, it's in a difficult moment. And I think that what we're building at Pillar has the chance to really fix it, turn things around. As is the creator economy in a very broad sense. And we can look at specific verticals like Twitch streamers all the way down to, your TikTokers, your knowledge coaches on Instagram, whatever you might have, your fitness coaches, right? It's a really broad term, but broadly speaking, of course, the creator economy, I think, is in a difficult position where you've got an oversupply of creators, you've got a lot of competition, you have a lot of people who are content creators who aren't paid justly, given the massive amounts of content and the massive amounts of dollars that they give big platforms. I think you have a lot of creators who struggle to really build community in a sustainable way. I think you have people who have their 5 minutes of fame and in the long run are able to extend that in a meaningful way. And so what we're trying to do at Pillar is we're trying to give content creators, no matter their size, the tools they need to build a community authentically, sustain that community, delight their fans, and also grow from brand deals in, again, a long-term sustainable way. The 5 minutes of fame model, the model where you're not getting compensated in the long run by these platforms or whatever it might be, brands or platforms, because you don't retain your community and you don't engage your community. That's a big problem, and that to me is the sign of a unhealthy economy.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say the creator economy is in a crisis, but I don't want to say that it's flourishing and that everyone's doing well. It's not exactly the healthiest economy at the moment. And so what Pillar is trying to do is, again, it's trying to give content creators of all sizes the suite of tools they need to grow their GDP in the long run, right? And support themselves, delight their fans, find happiness, find joy in simple tools that are powerful, that are simple, and that can really help them last. That's where I want to take it. That's where, if I have anything to say about it, do about it. That's where I want to take the economy. But yeah, that's what the crystal ball says.
I mean, you bring up a really interesting point about how the creator economy, again, being in a very difficult place, people not being able to really grow, or, again, like the vast amounts of money that we've seen thrown at individual creators, the streaming wars. And one of the interesting things from the lens of someone who is a creator watching other creators, myself, is seeing how over time that changes people. Right, and that goes hand in hand with why communities either build up or they diminish over time. You look at people like Logan Paul, who was, him and his brother were big because of Vine, and then came over to YouTube, and all the controversies and things that have happened with them over time, and the sort of sentiment around both of them, even still to this day. And then like you have your other creators who on TikTok who are necessarily like they get these tens of thousands of followers, these brand deals, these Netflix shows, or anything of the sort, and it changes who they are entirely. And I think that that's always been a really big issue with the creator space, is because, again, like I think it's the age-old story. Is like once you're never really prepared for that like thing. Like no one really sits you down and goes, "Hey, you now have 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, a million," or even in the case of someone like a Charlie D'Amelio, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of fans, and you're someone who's never been accustomed to that. So I think it's a really interesting thing. I think it's also kind of due to the fact that, like you point out, there's a lot of oversaturation in every aspect. People are doing the same thing on TikTok as another person. In the gaming space, the joke is, you look at when a Call of Duty title releases every year, you'll see the same content being brought out by everybody on day one. The beginner videos, the how to rank up to the max level, this class is better than this, or this high scoring game. And so it's definitely something that I think like the creator space has always kind of been in this, I don't want to call it bubble, but kind of hamster wheel. You're just bouncing back and forth and hoping eventually that like you find solid footing. So you really bring up an interesting point on that. I think eventually it will change, because like what you're seeing now in some areas is a lot of people are realistically having a mindset of, I'm not just someone who's a creator. I have to look at myself as a personality. Who am I as a person? And really making a pact with themselves, like not to let fame and money change who they are, in the process of like remembering why they got into this in the first place. Because we all enjoy making content, creating content, entertaining people, or so forth. So again, you bring up a really interesting point on that. In terms of things, what are some of the dreams and goals that you have for yourself and Pillar? Because I know like everyone has their own dreams, like or goals, or like things that they want to hit. What's on your list?
Yeah, I think I'd love to see Pillar have a place in the creator economy that's as loved as the amazing companies like Linktree, Media Kits, Beacons. There's all these amazing tools out there. I'd love to see if we had a spot among them. I think we have a unique proposition, and I'd be honored to have that kind of love in the community. I think we definitely have started to see that, and I'm excited to grow that as much as I can.
I mean, this is just me being biased. I think you guys are already there. I mean, you guys were there when you had Affluent, because there was obviously the articles about you guys from the mainstream tech space and the mainstream gaming news, and even now, like, you guys have built up this really amazing thing with like brand ambassadors and bringing in people from the gaming space. Like how last year there was King Ralliant, there was Scaredly Ginge, a ton of other creators. Really being active on social media. Like, I remember when you guys had less than 1,000 followers, and now, like, you guys have so many followers on Twitter, Instagram is always something where, even before you guys posted the Creator Summit, literally that day, I was like, it'd be really cool to help out Pillar with the Instagram or the TikTok, because occasionally I keep seeing, or I always keep seeing different things, in my For You page, and then, like, it's really like amazing what you guys have built. So I'd say that you guys already have a place among those companies, because like you guys are building your own thing in a sense, but at the same time, you guys have really like cornered almost every part of the market that a creator will really want to have. So I guess, wrapping up and everything, for those that want to learn a little bit about Pillar and keep up to date with what you guys are doing, feel free to plug. And as well, for anyone that wants to join Pillar, I'll have my referral code so you guys can join Pillar. Skip the wait list a little bit and try it out. But yeah, if you want to plug Pillar, all the socials, the floor is yours.
Yeah, follow us at Pillar.io on Instagram, Pillar Creators on Twitter. Pillar.io is the website. We are now live. There is no more wait list, so
okay.
Go ahead and sign up, and excited to see your pages, excited to see your pillars.
Yeah. So, with that being said, again, Michael, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. Really means a lot. We've been trying to do this for like a couple months now, and it's finally great. I mean, like, this is...
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for
This is like one of the first podcasts I've done since, I want to say mid-2020, which is kind of like crazy. So, or at least mid-2020. I might have done one or two in early 2021. I forget. But again, like, really appreciate you coming on. I really look forward to all the success with Pillar. I mean, you guys have me hooked. I'm going in there every day or so and just critiquing my own page and my own, like, confidence of, like, does this look good? Does this look good? Does this look good?
And I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. And again, you definitely text me the next time you guys are setting up Creator Summit, because, I mean, I got a suit and all that waiting for the next time.
Love it. Thank you, my friend.
But for those that are watching the podcast on YouTube, if you guys did enjoy this, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to whatever channel this is on. If you're listening to this on any audio platform of your choosing, or your liking, really, make sure to give it a review. Really means a lot, and a rating as well. Again, all the links will be in the description of either the audio or the video version of this podcast. If you want to check myself out on social media, all my links will be in the description as well as the podcast. And with that being said, I will see all of you guys in the next one.